You know, like, I always think of it in my mind as when they have a fishing rod and there's like something at the end to entice people to come.
Yes.
I don't know why in my head I'm thinking of Jennifer Coolidge and there was like a dildo on one to like, force it to run. I don't know what I'm thinking of, but like that's what I'm thinking of.
If that doesn't exist, it needs to.
It really does. I don't know if I'm making it up.
I can't do no small talk, no small talk. I'm not with the small talk. Can't be with the small talk.
I'm Leah Jazz from 5 After Hours, and I'm here with Lindy Johnson for an exclusive episode of 5 Unscripted.
Hey.
Thank you so much for being here. You are one of my favorite comedians in the country.
Thank you so much. I mean, that compliment would mean more if there was like 30 of us, but like there's like 5. So I'm very grateful still out of all of them that I'm one of your favorites. I'm very grateful.
It's like playing first team water polo, but there's only one team.
Exactly. I played first team hockey because there was no other girls. Like I went to a small girls' school, so
Only 3 people on the team.
Though. Yeah. I was on that team though. Thank you.
I'm really curious about the things that make comedians who they are, because I don't think anyone who's lived a...
You want to go down that dark hole?
I do, because I don't think that you're allowed to.
I think there's only like heroin and needles at the end of that dark hole.
Let's hope not. But I feel like legally, it's actually in the rules. You're not allowed to become a comedian if you come from a happy home with 2 parents and no trauma.
True.
Right? And I also think a lot of us...
I mean, I wouldn't know, but I assume.
Right. And a lot of us are also quite serious people. And there's this pressure to be funny all the time. How do you cope with that in your day-to-day life?
I stay away from people. That is my go-to. Just stay away from people, and I prefer to give people my best side. I realize this is what they like. This is what people enjoy. So when I am in the mood to be funny, that's when I'm out and I'm having a nice time and I'm having interviews with Leah Jazz, doing those great things. And when I don't feel like doing it, I stay at home. But also, I think I like being at home. So it's a win-win for me. So that's a good coping mechanism.
You say you like to show people your best side. What does the not best side look like?
That's a side that isn't funny. That's a side that's serious. I mean, it's not a bad side. I don't think, there's a good side and the bad side. I just mean there's a good side that people enjoy where I'm funny and upbeat. And then there's a side that's different. I'm trying so hard to move away from the word bad because I'm like into gentle parenting myself. So now the other side of Lindy that's just serious and doesn't want to smile and doesn't want to make jokes, I prefer to keep that side to myself instead of, because all of my sides are going to be affected if one person goes, I met that girl and she was so boring. You know what I mean? Like all my sides are going to be like, I should have been more instead of I should have been at home.
You mentioned gentle parenting yourself. What was being parented like for you? Take me back to the beginning.
Oh, hectic. I'll take you back. I don't think gentle parenting existed in Paul. Maybe other places in the world, but I was born on a Sunday in Paul, and my parents actually moved from Cape Town to Paul in December 93. I was born Feb 94.
Wow.
So those 3 hottest months in Paul, they decided my mom should be pregnant there. She was 40 years old. She was in her 40s. They didn't expect to have another kid. They already had 2 sons. They were like, yeah, sharp. This is more than enough mouths to feed. And then I showed up, and then on a Sunday, and my parents always told me that I showed up on a Sunday because I smelled the Sunday roast. So that's your idea of how gentle parented I've been in my life. So it started there, and I grew up with 2 older brothers, so you can imagine the amount of trauma and pressure I've been under.
What is the age gap between you and your brothers?
10 and 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were they nice big brothers, or were they like, you're tiny and a girl, so we don't care?
So my eldest brother, obviously he's 10 years older than me. He was like a teenager. He did not care about me at all. Like, obviously. I was just someone who also lived in his house, who sometimes ate his snacks. Like, that was my purpose in his life. My younger brother did not enjoy me at all. Because we went to the similar schools. Like, he went to the boys' school, I went to the girls' school. And then people would be like, your sister's being goofy. And he's like, always embarrassing me. And like that was my journey of trying to suppress the comedy, because I mean, I don't want to embarrass my family, and like I'm not as cool as my brother. I'm a bit not nerdy. I wouldn't say nerdy because nerdy people are smart.
What do you think people thought of you in primary school?
I thought they just thought I was a goofy gal, which isn't untrue. I'm a bit more serious now because responsibilities and debit orders force you to be more serious. But in high school, I was a lot more free. I think going to an all-girls school gave me that freedom to be as goofy and as silly as I wanted to be without the male gaze. Because it was never a thing of, you need to look cute, you need to do this. At my school, it wasn't. It was just be ladylike, but also you can be yourself. There was that freedom, which I really enjoyed. So what my high school and my schooling experience, that for my parents, good choices. That's where I will commend them. The other not.
What was it like entering the world after being in an all-girls school and realizing that there are men here too?
So my first experience of that was at university.
Yeah.
And I went to an all-girl race there at Stellenbosch as well. And it was just being around men was so strange for me. I still struggle, right? I'm not comfortable with men. I'm a total girls girl. Like, my dream place to hang out is a girls' bathroom. Like, in a public place. Like, I'm not even joking. It sounds very corny, but I love girls so much. I just want to hang out with women. I wish I was gay so badly. You know what I would do with women? I would be married by now with like 3 biracial adopted children. We would find them somewhere. You know what I mean? I would be living the life, but God made me straight, I guess, because, to offset all the talent he gave me.
Right.
Like, it just made sense to balance it out.
Everyone needs an Achilles heel.
Exactly. And mine is liking men. She's not more of an Achilles heel. It's more like, you're gonna die.
Tell me more about your relationship with your brothers when you were growing up.
Oh, hectic. There was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of, trying to survive.
You make it sound like you were a gladiator. Like,
We were doing WWE every single night. There was so many. I've broken an arm, wrist, fingers.
What?
Like, bro, it was rough. We've broken so many windows and like property damage. Just the 3 of us. It was very intense, but it was fun. And also now as a woman, I know how to fight. So.
And no one ever called Childline?
No, never. My parents spent a lot of time at the church, so.
Right, a lot of time at the church.
Yeah, my dad was a pastor before he passed away.
It's not a moment of silence. I'm trying not to laugh.
I always tell people I have an absent dad. It just wasn't his choice.
Lindy. I mean, I also understand that comedy is a way of coping with these intense things that happen in our lives. But before we get into that, I want to know more about being raised by a pastor. How old were you when he passed?
I was 12.
Wow.
I was super, super young, yeah. But I mean, a lot of it, I get there's a bad side of pastors. I totally get it. And I understand people, especially Pentecostal pastors, because that's like the Bashiris and that's the Hillsong guys and TD Jakes and all these people wearing Gucci. I get it. It looks so bad. And it looks even worse if I say my dad wasn't one of them. But he wasn't. Like, my dad was fully, because his dad was a pastor as well.
Oh, wow.
And he learned from those mistakes. And he was like, I'm not going to move my children all over the country. I'm not going to live on church's property. I'm still going to have a day job. Those kind of principles that he set for himself that made a massive difference in comparison to him and other Pentecostal pastors. So I think that's why I'm quite principled now, because my father and my mother still today, they believe in living their life like Jesus. New Testament, very much, you have to serve your community, they serve you, that kind of thing. So I think that's why I still like the church, but I'm still like the church.
At what point did that happen for you when you went from, because I imagine when you grow up in that environment, you're absorbed in it. And so it's a part of your world and you don't really have a reason to question it. You're looking at me like you're not sure. What was the turning point for you?
I've always been a voracious reader. So I have been questioning my faith. And I think one of the books, actually when I was really young, I don't know if you've ever read the full Narnia work.
Yes.
Did you read the full one? Where I was
Yes.
just like, I don't know, the chicken and the lion at the end. I was just like, what? There's more. And it just, the thing is, it all made sense. And when I read the Bible, it all made sense. And then when you read something else in someone else's religion, it also made sense. So then for me, I was just like, I don't have to adhere to these rules because there's so many. It doesn't matter. For me, the theme is always faith and can you persevere based on your faith. So I was like, if I have that in the bag and if I'm a charitable person, then I figure I can live my life the way I want, because I don't really agree with living the life that my church is like, because my church is very religious. Like, it's very no alcohol, no like going out to party, like that kind of thing. And doing stand-up was also a bit iffy.
Is doing stand-up again, like, is that a rule against that in the Bible?
It's not the Bible. You know, that's the thing where I was like, I need to remove myself from the church.
Yeah.
Because these things aren't in the Bible. These things aren't in any books or anything that makes sense. But you, just this Mr. Solomon, you telling me at church I have to not drink any alcohol. I can't go out at night as a woman. You know, like you add those kind of misogyny on it and the patriarchy, and I need to submit to this man who also doesn't know what he's doing. Those kind of rules where I was just like, I can't be part of this, but I can't let go of my faith either because I feel it. So, yeah.
How have those conversations gone with your family?
I have not spoken to anyone about this ever.
Okay. Okay, cool.
I think my family, like my mom knows that I don't go to church, but for her, it's just the lack of access. I think that's what's going through her mind, where she's just like, well, there aren't any of our churches in Joburg where she lives, and it's far, doesn't drive. Like, for her, it makes logical sense.
So in her mind, you're definitely not turning water into wine on the weekends.
Oh, definitely not. But the thing is, I don't drink anyway.
Okay.
But that's just because of my choice. I don't want someone to tell me I can't do something.
Yes.
I smoke a lot of weed, though.
Okay. Nice.
I get high enough to get close to God.
Right. Jobless. So 12 years old is a really tender time to lose who I imagine was an amazing and extremely important figure in your life. I don't know why I think he's amazing. I've read your Twitter, so you make him sound like he was an amazing, amazing person. And so what was that like for you at 12 is already an emotional, hormonal, tragic time to be alive, and you were just hit with this thing.
You know, it's just such an awkward time to have so many people looking at you. I think this is why I still hate being perceived, because I was at my most awkward. I got my first period that year. I was wearing those 3/4 pants and tank tops, and then underneath the tank top, a long sleeve t-shirt. You know, I was dressing typical 2000s. And everybody was staring at me. So then that made me retreat a lot. And it made me retreat back into stand-up comedy. Because at the time, I was really into Russell Peters and Chris Rock. And like, those were my favorite comedians. And this is why I stopped watching movies. Like, for a couple of years after my dad died. Because comedy just gave me this reassurance that there was going to be a laugh in 30 seconds. Like, there was going to be a happy ending soon. We don't have to stress about this. It's scary now. But like, soon it's going to be over, and that's the whole show. That sounded so amazing to me. Like, within TV, it's always, she meets the guy, because I love rom-coms. She meets the guy, something happens, then the guy is gone.
Yes.
And they don't know what to do because the guy is gone. And then it's just 30 minutes of this lady going for the guy. And it's so much stress because she can't get the guy. That kind of thing, you know what I mean? And then only at the end, and for me, at the time, I was like, emotionally, I can't a rom-com as a 12-year-old. So then at the time, that was where I went into, and that helped me a lot. But also the gravity of the situation didn't hit me until I was much older. Because obviously I was 12 years older. All I knew was my dad wasn't going to visit anymore. I didn't know the financial implications. I didn't know the social implications. I didn't know what was going to happen after that with me also, and the guidance that I had lost then. Because I was 12.
Yeah.
I was laughing at the funeral, having fun with my cousins, that kind of thing, because the gravity of the situation didn't hit me. But that also, I like that. It sounds so horrible. But I like dealing with my feelings over a long period personally. Just to get to the point where I am now at age 29, where I can talk about it. I used to not be able to talk about my father at all. Like, at all, because I wasn't dealing, and I didn't know how to deal, and I didn't know how to talk to anyone else. Because I do, as a 12-year-old, go, hey, emotionally, I'm not doing so good. How do I change this? All I knew was jokes made me feel good. Let me just focus on that.
Because it's not just a loss in your family. I imagine the whole community was grieving this real figurehead. And that must have just focused, like laser focused. Lindy, how are you doing? Are you okay?
It wasn't even. It was a lot of, we miss your father so much. We miss him. I think about your father every day. Like, me too, bro.
Way to make it about yourself.
Exactly. He was my father. You didn't even see him that much.
So you retreated into consuming a lot of stand-up. At what point did you think to yourself, maybe I could do this?
It was when I was in high school and I saw Nelly. She was doing, my daughter, she was doing like a MC sort of thing. And I was like, this is so close to stand-up comedy. This is... And then that led me to finding Loisokola and the whole crew. And I was like, Kagisoletiga them and whatever. And all those guys and seeing them do stand-up in South Africa. And then still it was a very much far off. Because they were in Joburg and I was in Paul and I was 16 and it's just like, Joburg might as well be on another planet because how am I going to get to Joburg? So it still didn't feel like something I could do, and that's why I focused on going to university or like trying to be a teacher or anything. None of it
was that your
worked out.
plan?
No, I didn't have a plan.
But you went to university?
Yes.
What were you studying?
General BA, humanities. I was taking anthropology and ancient stuff. I don't know what I was going to do. And geography. For some reason, I was also doing cartography there. I don't know. It was such a mess because I really didn't know until I did a Marty's Got Talent. Because I was about to drop out. It was actually the week I dropped out. And then I was just like, fuck it. Let me just try and do stand-up comedy. Let me see if I can actually physically stand on a stage and tell people jokes. Whether they laugh or not, that's got nothing to do with me. Let me just try.
Because that takes a lot of courage from someone who went, I don't want to be looked at by people, to I'm going to... Also, I feel that comedy is one of the hardest art forms. There's no band. If you hit the wrong notes, you can't carry on with the song. It's literally just you dry with the mic. And if you die... you die.
Right? Isn't it so much fun?
Where did the courage come from to stand up and do that first?
I think it was dropping out. I was just like, I have nothing. I have no prospects. I have no job on the horizon. I dropped out because I knew I had to. I was f***ing up the... Might as well f*** up somewhere else.
Right, you had nothing to lose.
Exactly. I literally had nothing to lose. So I did Marty's Got Talent, got into the second round. And then I came second in the competition, but lucky for me, that didn't even matter because the host of Marty's Got Talent was none other than Robin Vieren.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then I was like, okay, I got something here. That like reignited my whole life. I could feel like every cell in my body on fire because Rob was like, here's where you go. This is what you do. Here's Armchair and I'm going to give you Chino's number and you're going to perform on this night and you're going to be fine. And I was like... You don't know that, short white man, but it's fine. I'll take your number. It's okay. I'll do this thing. And I did it. And now it's my job for the past 8 years.
I have goosebumps thinking about what that must have been like. You know, you're in this position where you don't have anything to lose. And one of the biggest comics in the country looks at you and says, you've got this. You've got something.
Right?
Was it at that point that you felt that you were going to lean in entirely and make this your career, or was there still a bit of hesitance?
You know, I think I just needed a plan. I realized that I can't just...
Raw dog life.
Yes, I can't just, okay, I got this affirmation from this bro who my mother doesn't even know. Like, I can't go home and be like, Mommy, Rob said I'm great. Who the f*** is Rob? What do you mean? You dropped out of university. Let's just... You're living in a Fanta Blicky sort of situation. So I got a job working a retail at Walton's. And then that's how I paid for getting to Cape Town from Paul so I could gig at night. So that for me was just... I just needed some sort of, like, I always think of it in my mind as when they have a fishing rod and there's like something at the end to entice people to come.
Yes.
I don't know why in my head I'm thinking of Jennifer Coolidge and there was like a dildo on one to like, force her to run. I don't know what I'm thinking of, but like, that's what I'm thinking of.
If that doesn't exist, it needs to.
It really does. I don't know if I'm making it up. But anyway, for me, it was like there was a mic at the end of this fishing rod and I was chasing something. And that was good enough for me. Like, as long as I know where I was going, I have this plan, I'm doing something with my life, even if it is. Because I needed that affirmation that I still exist. Because for me, and like where I came from, it was you go to university and then it's not you go to university or
Yeah.
There was no awe for it. And also, as a colored person, my community, I got into university. I'm so lucky, a good one, Stellenbosch. I was throwing away this massive opportunity for jokes.
And was that something you felt on your own, or did any of that pressure come from your family?
Definitely came from my mother. Still to this day says, why don't you go study teaching? And I'm like, do you know how much teachers earn and how much I earn? No offense to teachers, very, very, like, I admire them. I think they're great. And also they need to earn a lot more. They should earn what I earn.
They should earn, the most.
Yeah, like they should earn more than I earn. Actually, yeah, dream bigger, teachers.
Then maybe.
But like to this day, she's still like, why don't you go do that instead? Because I mean, comedy is so uncertain, and I get that she's very anxious about it. But for me, it's always been certain. It's always provided for me. I've always found someone on the path to get me where I need to be. I've always worked in a way to get me my goals and achieve them. So I understand from the outside looking in, it might not look great. It's a freelance job where I'm telling jobs. I get to a 68-year-old woman, 69, 60. She's something dignified young woman that doesn't look great. A freelance job where you don't know where your next meal is coming from. But for me, I'm like, the universe provides. Like, comedy is always going to send me something.
That's your faith.
It is my faith.
Did your brothers go and study and get university degree jobs and things like that?
My brother is a quantity surveyor and the younger one is an engineer.
Hectic.
So, yeah.
So they're fine. They'll sort her out. She'll be fine. You're the baby.
Exactly. But that's not the concern. I'm the concern. Will I be able to look after myself? And also, as a woman who doesn't have a husband, that's also another layer of, shame. I'm making my mom sound so bad, but she's a lovely lady. I do understand that from the time period she comes from.
No, I understand as well.
I look crazy.
Of
I
course.
moved out, didn't have a husband. I work jobs sometimes.
Yeah. You're out late at night.
Exactly. The other day she was complaining because I was like, because she has my Uber on her phone for safety reasons. She's like, oh, your Uber came home at 10 o'clock last night. I was like, that's when comedy ends. It's actually early.
Yes.
Because the gig started at 6.
Yeah.
And I was just chilling till 10. That's so early. So I understand for her, this looks crazy. So I just have to dull that voice. I have to find my inspiration. I have to find my own self-esteem in my work and the people who I surround myself with, which I've been very lucky with. So I think that's why I've been so calm.
Things in sort of 2019 looked like they were on this really incredible rise for you. You were working with Kate with Frizz Pop. You guys did a Showmax special. It was looking really amazing. And then the world ended in a way. How did the pandemic affect your comedy career?
So stand-up wise, obviously was dead.
Yeah.
Like there was no way. But I love that, and this is why my faith in comedy keeps getting reaffirmed, because I wasn't left destitute. I still had jobs. People still phoning me. People were still like, what are we doing? Okay, next move, let's move. It was so much fun, but also it was very stressful because I leaned into my writing and getting writing jobs for television, and that was very difficult because I was a new person, and it is to be a new person at something because you suck.
Yeah.
And everybody around you knows you suck because you're new, and that's fine, but to you it's just like, I'm the suckiest person, why am I even here?
It's like
so
dying
it was
on
like
stage again for the first time.
Exactly. And it's been at that point, because I was so comfortable doing stand-up. I was so comfortable just living my life being a stand-up comedian. I was not the expert, but I'm like not intermediate.
Yeah.
Like I was there in the middle doing okay. I knew where to go, where I was coming from, that kind of thing. But starting fresh and not knowing and being this newbie in the room was kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. It's horrible to suck at something.
It's so horrible, especially in front of other people. But also it's gotten me to the point where I'm now writing on Netflix shows. So, you know what I mean? Being new is great. Later on in life.
Yeah.
Not at the start. At the start, it sucks.
Am I allowed to ask about the titles you're working on?
No.
Okay.
Sorry. No.
It's fine.
No, it's my fault. I dropped Netflix because I was excited. That's my fault. And now I signed NDAs.
It's okay. We'll cut that out.
I mean, my last one, you can put that because I didn't say any of the titles. But my last big project was Amazon, with the first show they brought here was Last One Laughing with Trevor Noah.
Wow.
Yes. And the person I wrote for won the show. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of things where I'm just like, comedy is always going to take care of me. I never really have to worry. All I have to do is keep my head down and work.
I think it's such an amazing story for the kids who live in Paarl, in Mokopane, in Secunda, in random town somewhere,
Small towns, Bloemfontein.
Yeah, for those kids who
places
might feel like it's too remote, it's too far away, and that goes for any art form, be it stand-up or music, or like there's a way, and it can look after you and it can take care of you from Paarl to the world.
But it's terrifying. This is the thing, I would never encourage someone from Secunda or wherever, Kroonstad, to do it because it's terrifying, but it's worth it. But I don't want to be dishonest and be like, I'm not scared every night. I haven't cried myself to sleep thinking about if I'm even going to make it in this industry, those kind of things. But it's so worth it when you do get that phone call, when you do see the person you wrote for winning something, like those things add up. But are you ready for that?
But you have an amazing courage and a resilience, and I think that's a faith in your talent as well. It's, if I think about you as the young person, the young one, the young sibling, the baby sibling who had to go off and do your own thing, I think I just keep coming back to that idea of faith that was instilled in you from such a young age that it's sure, sometimes you think, is this going to work? But there's that thing in you that tells you that it will.
I think there's also the thing of comfort and having security. Because I know if things don't work out in Joburg or in stand-up comedy, I have multiple homes I can go to. I can go live with my mom. I can go live with one of my siblings. I'll be taken care of. And I think having that kind of security does offer me the kind of courage to be a bit reckless. Whereas other people who don't have that security wouldn't take those chances. And doesn't mean that they don't have the courage. It just means that they don't have the resources. And maybe even if I had even more resources, I would be Kevin Hart by now.
Yeah, maybe. And who says you won't be?
Inshallah.
I have so much faith in you as an incredibly talented human being. I love seeing your journey. And I know you're doing a lot of writing work at the moment, but I would love to see you on stage more often. I would love to be on stage with you, to share that stage, even if I do end up being the small one for once. Lindy's very tiny and I'm very tall. But on stage, Lindy's very tall and I'm very tiny.
I'm so glad we're sitting for this interview. They can't actually see the height difference because it's astounding. Like every time I see you, I'm like, how did God make both of us? There's no way. He's so selfish.
He's just putting in the randomizer.
Right?
He's got it on shuffle. Lindy, thank you so much for joining me on 5 Unscripted today. I'm inspired. I'm excited. You make me laugh. And I can't wait to see where you go.
Thank you so much for having me, Leah. It's always lovely chatting to you. Always have fun with you. Even here and in Durban, where you don't live anymore.
No.
Even though I don't see you in Joburg, you live here. Thank you so much. I hope we see way more of each other, not just on radio.
And I want to thank you also for your honesty and talking about things that you haven't spoken about before. I know that also takes courage. I admire your courage.
It's my pleasure. I have no filter.
Hashtag unscripted.
Interview brought to you by Fubara.
This is 5 FM.